Hey guys, I'm Elliott. This is Everything Elliott, and contrary to the title of this video, this tractor implement doesn't actually print money. It takes a little effort on your part, but today we're going to get it open, we're going to discuss it, and I'm going to tell you what could quite possibly be the best implement to purchase if you want to make some serious money with your tractor. Now obviously you can see on the front of this implement is from Baumalight. If you don't know who Baumalight is, they make all sorts of attachments like tractor attachments, excavator attachments, mini skid steers. They actually produce mini skid steers as well. So if you're in the market for one of those, make sure you check them out. Now I have never purchased an implement that came in such nice packaging. Can we just take a second to appreciate the full wooden crate with the plastic wrap on it? I mean, talk about pride and ownership. And before we go any further, I would just like to address the elephant in the room. That background noise you're hearing, no, that's not your headphones, that's not your computer, that's not your TV, that's actually my heater. So I heat my shop with a Lanair waste oil heater, and it's kind of noisy. It actually sounds a lot noisier on camera than it does in real person, but it's about 9 o'clock at night, and it's about 17 degrees outside, so I'd like to comfortably work in the shop, and you're just gonna have to bear with me with the noise. So sorry about that. So I guess the first thing we can do is just kind of cut this plastic wrap right through their logo. See if my knife is sharp enough. And it's actually very thick wrap too. This is like stuff you would wrap a boat in. It's not your average plastic wrap. I don't really know the best way to attack this. So some of you might recognize what this is by the little view you get of it right now, but I'm still not going to spoil it. All right, this is much easier than anticipated. I thought I was going to have to take every individual board off. All right, so here's the setup. We got one set of chains running down to the 3-point lower arms, there and there, and then a second set of chain to what I hope are strong enough to hold this. We're gonna find out in a second here. This is not working the way I thought it was going to work. A lot of money dangling right there. A lot of money dangling. All right, let's try to get this thing on the ground safely. Actually, you know what? Let's move this so we got a little more space to look at it. Well, that didn't work exactly to plan, but it worked, so that's what matters. You guys might have saw a quick clip of this earlier, but this is actually a chain storage that I made. And it stores both of my chains that I like to keep on my tractor. I made a video making it, so yeah, I'll leave a link up top, you can check it out. It's been in here over a year without issue. And you just take it and, well, that's embarrassing. Slide it back in. So this is a Baumalight MP360 forestry mulcher. And if you don't know what a forestry mulcher is, well, basically it's an earth eraser. So forestry mulchers are most commonly seen on the front of skid steers, and there's actually a lot of YouTube channels that do nothing but forestry mulching, and they seem to be pretty successful. Actually, one of my favorite channels I watch is Upstate Brush Control, and they do pretty much nothing but land clearing. I'll show you guys what a real forestry mulcher looks like on the front of a skid steer. Now, this is not saying that this is not a real forestry mulcher. This is just built for a tractor. And before we get into how this thing is a moneymaker, I just want to go over some basics. So I'm not going to give you all the fine details. I'll have a link down in the description below to this unit that if you want to read all the nitty-gritty, I don't know, technical data, you can do that on your own. Basically, the MP360 is a 60-inch cutting path, 72-inch total width. It's rated for a maximum of 55 engine horsepower on your tractor, which equates to about 45 horsepower, give or take, on the PTO. And the minimum horsepower you can run this thing on is about 30 horsepower. Now, I find that running the minimum horsepower on an implement doesn't really always work that well, and they actually make a smaller unit. I believe it's the MP348, and don't quote me on that. But the 48 is just a smaller version of this. Now it's got high-speed cutting teeth, which you can see down there, and if you've ever used a stump grinder before or seen a stump grinder, it's basically the same style tooth. You've got 3 chances to use them. That means you can take them out, rotate them, and put them back in. So they'll last you a long time, unless you're super rough on it. Obviously, if you're hitting rocks all the time, the teeth are gonna last not as long. So the total weight of this unit is 1,200 pounds, and just the rotor, the big drum, that weighs about 315 pounds. This specific unit, well, the MP360 in general, is category 1, so for about the size tractor I have, and it's quick hitch compatible. And the PTO shaft that it comes with actually has a slip clutch on it, which is really nice because that's going to protect the gearbox that's in your tractor. One thing I wanted to point out is you can see the chains down at the bottom. Well, if you look on their website, it says that you need to purchase them separately, but actually they're just shipping with the units now. So you don't need to worry about buying the chain guard if that's something you were interested in. So now that we're done with the little as seen on TV segment and you know a little bit about the machine, let's talk about how it can make you money. Now, if you use your tractor for side jobs and whatnot, you probably have a set fee that you normally use, and my set fee might vary from yours, and you might think that I'm wrong or you might think that I'm right, but I'm just going to tell you what I do, and you can just adapt that to however you run your side jobs with your tractor. Now, when I go to do a job, I obviously go over there and check things out, see what the customer wants, make sure I have the implements to get it done, and I mean, I've been doing it a while, so I've got a pretty good idea of how long things take me. The way that I charge people is basically $75 an hour for basic tractor work. Now, that includes like dirt work and, you know, not really running a PTO implement. Maybe some box blades, some grading, some driveway restoration. $75 an hour, and I have a 4-hour minimum, which includes 30 minutes on the front and 30 minutes on the rear. So basically they're paying for an hour that I'm not even at their house. That includes time to get the tractor ready, fuel it up, load it up, chain it down, make sure I have everything. and just a little bit of drive time. I mean, it basically takes me 30 minutes just to get the tractor ready and on the trailer. And then the 30 minutes at the end, that's just to do the opposite. So realistically, they're paying for 4 hours, but they're only getting 3 hours of work. And you might say, well, Elliott, that's wrong. Well, my time is valuable and I want to get paid for it. So that's the way I run it. If they're not happy with it, they can go somewhere else. Now, I said my basic rate is $75 an hour, and that's just for basic tractor work. When I put a PTO implement on it, you have to increase your fuel cost because your tractor is going to be running at a higher RPM, burning more fuel. I have different rates for different implements, like my brush hog. That's only $85 an hour because, well, I should say this. If I'm brush hogging a field, it's only $85 an hour because it's really not beating up the tractor. You can go at a quick pace and you're just mowing a field. The rototiller, that beats it up a little more. I charge $100 an hour for the rototiller, and that basically just does gardens. It's a 6-foot wide rototiller, but it gets things done really quick. I get hired out for a lot of food plots for that. So $100 an hour for the rototiller. Now for this unit right here, I'm going to be charging $150 an hour. And you might say, well, Elliott, that's double the rate of just your basic tractor work. Well, you have to take into account the cost of the tractor, the cost of the maintenance, and the cost of this implement with the maintenance on this implement. This implement is around $15,000, which you might say to yourself, wow, that is expensive. But when you take into consideration what it can do a lot more than just your average brush hog. Somebody might say, well, I can just take a brush hog into the woods. You can, and that's fine, but it's not going to do as good of a job as this forestry mulcher would. This is rated to cut up to 6-inch material on a hydrostatic tractor. I believe it's 4 inches on a gear drive tractor. Don't quote me on that. But you basically can take 6-inch diameter trees down with this thing and mulch them into wood chips. You can't do that with a brush hog. You're not cutting a 4-inch tree down with a brush hog. This is also great because it doesn't have a huge tail swing. On a brush hog, you got to remember you have like an 8-foot tail swing and you're not going to be able to weave through the woods. This thing has probably only got a 4-foot tail swing. You'll be able to get in a lot tighter spots and you'll be able to bid jobs that you normally wouldn't be able to bid. There's obviously going to be more wear and tear with this unit than there would be just, say, running a box blade. So you have to take all those things into account when you're pricing out your jobs. $150 an hour is not unreasonable for what this unit can do. I actually have a couple friends that run forestry mulchers on the front of skid steers, and they're charging upwards of $400 an hour. Which, I mean, yes, the forestry mulchers on the front of skid steers, they pretty much can take down just about any size of tree, but they're also $70,000 just for the head. I mean, you can get cheap Chinese ones for about 10 grand, but how well are they gonna work? You never really know. Is there parts availability? So they can charge $400 an hour because they have a $70,000 head on top of a $60 or $70 or $80,000 machine. They have $150,000 just kind of going through your backyard. My total investment, well, it's not really fair because I bought my tractor at auction. I paid $16,000 for my tractor. It was basically brand new and it was a complete fluke. I don't know how I got it, but $16,000 for my tractor and $15,000 for this. I have a total investment of $31,000 in your backyard, so I can charge less. Another good point that I need to touch on while we're discussing it is there are a lot of jobs that guys with skid steers and forestry heads don't want to do. The job is just too small or there's not enough profit in for them. So they just kind of ignore it, or they just bid higher than they should because they don't want to do it. That's what this unit is made for. So I think if you own a tractor and you want to make money with it, or you're already making money with it and you're trying to expand your business, this might be the implement for you. Baumalight deals through a bunch of dealers. You can't really buy it direct from them, so you just have to find your local dealer. There's a ton around. I think there's like 5 or 6 around me. You find your local dealer, give them a call, and go check out some of their units. Circling back to parts availability, when I was talking about that Chinese forestry mulcher, that is the nice thing about buying from Baumalight. They have the warranty, they have the parts availability. If something breaks, you can just give your dealer a call and go pick up whatever part you need. Now obviously it's the middle of winter and I'm not going to be really using this yet, but I wanted to get it out and I wanted to get this video out there because there are a couple things I need to do before this thing's ready to run. I want to give it a once over. I want to make sure everything's greased. I want to make sure everything's oiled. And that chain guard you saw on the back, well, I kind of want to make a secondary chain guard to put on my tractor because I don't really want to damage anything under my tractor. There's a lot of hydraulic filters and lines and stuff like that. I'm thinking about making just a secondary hanger for some extra chains, and I want to get that done before we start using it. So that's going to be coming in the future. Now, I'm not going to get everything ready on this. I'm not going to put the PTO shaft on it yet because I still need to move it around, and having the PTO shaft on it right now just makes it more bulky and more difficult to move around. So I'll leave the PTO shaft off of it until I know I'm ready to put it on. At that point, we're going to measure the PTO shaft, make sure it's the correct length, and it should be ready to run. Now, in theory, I could hook it up tonight. I could get the PTO shaft ready because honestly, it's probably the correct length. But the problem I have with running the mulcher in here is, while I'll be safe sitting up on the tractor, you guys may or may not know this, I have a cat, Theodore, that runs around the shop, and I would just feel horrible running this mulcher in here and Theodore gets, well, meets an early demise. And you might say to yourself, well, Elliott, just take it outside and run it outside, show us outside. Well, I said earlier it's 9 o'clock and it's actually 9:30 right now, so it's quite dark out there. You really wouldn't get to see anything or get to see much. So I obviously can't guarantee you that this is going to make you money. It depends on how hard you want to work and how much you want to hustle. But if you're dedicated, this is guaranteed to make you money. You might need to adjust the hourly rate based on your area. Things might be more expensive or less expensive, but you're going to have a better idea of what that is than I do. Obviously, since I just took it out of the crate, I can't tell you if I've made money off of it or not, and I can't tell you that it's a guaranteed way to make money, but I think it's a worthwhile investment. And this summer, I'm hoping to make enough money that it would pay for itself. Now, I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack. A lot of people are going to say, well, I could do all that with a brush hog, and I could do that with a chainsaw and a brush hog, and that's fine if you want to do it that way. I don't. That's just more time it takes you, and time is money. There's no doubt about that. So if you guys think I'm right, if you guys think I'm wrong, make sure you leave a comment below. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button while you're here. In the near future, I say near future, but it's not really near. It's only February. It's gonna be at least April, late April, even May, before I get this thing outside. If you guys don't know, I live in Western New York. We get a lot of snow, and I can't use this in the wintertime. I mean, I guess I could, but it probably wouldn't do as good of a job because of the snow cover. So I'm only gonna use it in the summertime, and I need to wait for things to dry out. Well, guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you think I'm right or I'm wrong, make sure you leave a comment below. If you think this was a silly investment or if you think it was a wise investment, let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. There's gonna be some content coming up with this. Even though we're not using it, we're gonna get it ready. We're gonna do a little bit of fabrication to it, and I don't know what else we're gonna do, but it'll be here on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, hope you guys have a great day.